a lot of you and your fellow researchers have found that it puts kids at risk for violence and academic failure when the father's absent. However, today, if we look at the millennials, many who come from broken homes, they're allegedly, the data that I've seen, there are fewer teenage pregnancies or out-of-wedlock pregnancy. There are fewer, well, there are fewer teenage pregnancies. There's still a lot of out-of-wedlock pregnancies. There's less violence, and more kids are graduating from high school. So where's the evidence of social breakdown when the kids are all right, as the movie said?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think it's a great point that in some important respects and some outcomes, we're doing better now than we were 20 years ago. So it does show us that fatherhood and that marriage are not the only factors that affect our kids. I think we've seen improvements in policing in the last 30 years. In some important respects, there's obviously still much to be done on that front. We have seen improvements, I think, in some ways in the educational sector. More kids are,
and people have fewer kids.
People have fewer kids. Parents are more productive. There are obviously pros and cons to that. But there are these broader cultural and economic shifts that I think have helped, many kids flourish in important respects. But it's still the case that when you compare kids, whether they were born in 1970 as I was, or if they're born in 2000, as other kids obviously have been born, in intact married versus say a single mother household, there are these gaps. And these gaps continue. And the scholars that you mentioned tend to be pretty concerned with inequality. And I think we have to appreciate the fact that for kids who are being raised in single parent homes, they are getting unequal parental attention, unequal parental resources economically,
and the outcomes are unequal. And it's not there for them.
So there's, the point that I would make is that kids would be doing that much better if there was more stability in our families, and if it wasn't so stratified. So when it comes to inequality, one of the most striking things that I have seen is the work of political scientist Robert Putnam's new book, Our Kids, and he has a graph basically showing that the share of kids being raised in single-parent homes among less educated moms is growing, and the share of kids in single mother households when mom is college educated is actually declining since the mid-1990s. So the point I'm making here is that what's happening in our families vis-a-vis marriage and fatherhood and family stability is, I think, playing an important role in fueling this growing social and economic divide in America. So again, if we're concerned about equality and reducing social and economic inequality, we need to be thinking about ways to bridge this marriage divide and bridge this family divide.